that's me saying, I have sons I gotta raise. I can't still be stuck in this stage of a little boy.
Come on.
Being able to raise them if my mindset is still back at 10 years old.
Yes.
Hey, what's up, fam? Welcome to the Boy Man King podcast, season 3. It's your boy Coach Crump with my boy Chiz.
What's going on, Crumpy? Season 3, my guy.
Spicy.
Season 3.
And listen, man, we're excited. You guys
Yes.
already know we dropped the episode about just the energy, the guests that we're bringing, all of that. And guess what, man? We got Mr. Marvel himself. And I know you
Yes,
DC
sir.
fans going to feel some type of way. But we got the man, the myth, the legend himself. Give it up for Chris Marvel in the building.
What's up, Chris, Mr.
brothers.
Marvel.
Thank you, brother.
Good to have you, man. Thank you for blessing us, blessing the mic. Season 3. We're so happy and excited to talk with you, man. This is going to be an amazing conversation. I just want to encourage you to be yourself. We're just going to chop it up. We're going to talk about your journey. We're going to start off with your childhood, explore your early life, and we're going to talk about how you've arrived and where you're going and how we can be a support to each other, man, through this journey of life. So we appreciate you being on this podcast.
Sounds therapeutic to me.
Yeah,
100%. I know that's your space, man.
And I know the whole, your legal government name is Chris Marvell Davis, but I had to play on the word.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a Marvel fan, and I had to go there. But man, so thank you for reaching out. Man, I first kind of want to go there before we get into a bit like what led you, right, to reach out to us to be like, man, I wanna rock what you guys got going on, man.
Yeah. I love the fact that the conversation you all have just stewards a Christian focus.
Yes.
And it focuses on men.
Yes.
That you don't see too much of that, where men are the pivotal point of the conversation.
Yes.
Much of when you scroll through social media, women got the lights, they got the pie, they got all the stuff when it comes to the conversation, and you don't see that being, incubated for us. And so I said, I got to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Hey, we appreciate the love, man.
Thank you.
As we endeavor on Boy Man King, man, we're going to jump right into it. As you said, we are in a space we want to highlight men's struggles, men's challenges, how they transition through those challenges into their kingship, man. So we definitely appreciate you coming on and allowing us to kind of pick through and sift through some of those things that you experienced. Tell us a little bit about Chris growing up in Cleveland, what life was like. We talked a little bit offline about the cold winters and some of the experiences you had. What was life for you like in early Cleveland growing up as a shorty in that area, man? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's funny, it's to some degree it's symbiotic of Cleveland. Much of my life felt cold.
Okay.
As growing up, my mom, beautiful, amazing woman, did everything, of course, that a mom can to make sure that you have what you need. And just as you're growing up, you look around and you have to piece things together. Why is maybe my dad not living in the house? My stepfather's here, and in the 90s, there was a drug thing going on.
Sure.
So there was some of that mixed around my family, not with my mom, but just the men around me.
Yeah.
They struggled in some of those areas. So security was always kind of lacking, for me. And whether it was financial security, emotional security, it always felt as if I was looking to my left and my right, making sure that emotionally I was taken care of. And I can still see that today, kind of an effect on me. But my brother, he's a year and a half younger than me. My guy, 100%. And we had the same, history as far as what we've seen. But I will tell you this, as the oldest, one of the things about growing up was I always felt as if I was the protector. So, and to me, what I experienced, I kept it to myself. I believe to this day that he didn't see what I saw.
Okay.
He didn't hear what I heard. And I still believe that to this day. So as I grew up, I just kind of kept that whole thing going. Whether it was any struggle, my mom crying, just stuff going on we didn't have, I always kind of kept that to myself, and we didn't share a lot of that conversation. But even though we probably shared the experience. But yeah, I grew up in Cleveland, ended up moving to a suburban school, one of the nicest suburban schools. We was kind of like right on that edge, and if you know anything about, Black people, we're going to figure out a way to get our kids into the best schools.
Sure.
So my grandma lived right on the edge of this district, and, I would get dropped off in the morning, just right on time to get to school. And that really shaped me. I didn't have to grow up in the Cleveland school district. I was able to grow up in this suburban community around every ethnicity, culture, religion, and it really allowed me to be moldable in every space I was going to enter and going into my life.
So paint the picture slightly for our audience so they understand, because there are nuances to a child's development that lead into why you've now chosen to be in that mental health space. Can you think back and reflect on the times as you when you was a kid as to what were you experiencing, what were you processing? You spoke earlier about your experience and your brother's experience was you had a shared experience, but you didn't really have a conversation about what was taking place. What were you seeing? What were you experiencing as a child that led you to say, all right, this is a space that I want to now occupy as an adult, and how that transitioned into your adulthood? And I know we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but just tell us a little bit about Chris, the young person, what you're seeing, how do you internalize your own struggle during that time in your development?
If I were to say what created this pathway to get to mental health, it was growing up. The culture that I grew up in as being a young black child was what you see that goes on in this house stays here. So there was a culture of silence that exists in many of our homes, and so I had to learn how to navigate these emotional traumas silently. And at some point, of course, I just wanted to help people. I wanted to help people that experience things that look like what I experienced. My brother, again, he's a year and a half younger than I. He never acknowledged what we went through. And so let me say what we went through.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I was getting at you. Yeah.
When I say what we went through, I'm talking about, my stepfather, and, listen, forgive me. I want to say, forgive me, y'all, for telling the story. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this is still my story.
Sure.
That I have to own this part of my story.
100%.
And even though the goal is to protect everyone, it's still my story. When I'm 9 years old, I get picked up from school and I'm sick. I have asthma, and I get picked up from school and we're driving home, and he has to make a stop. And next thing you know, I'm looking at the door. Here comes the Vice. They swarm up on the house because he's, dealing drugs. It's the 90s, it's rampant. He's dealing drugs. Vice takes him. I got to get my grandfather to pick me up as I sit in the car. That's issue number one. Another time, I'm 14. We're driving through, a community, and next thing you know, we see one cop car following us. Me, my mom, my brother, and my cousin. We see one cop car following us. Here comes another. Comes another one coming out that street. Man, there's 3 more coming out of here. They look like they for us.
Yeah.
They swarm up on the car, big bright lights on us. And I'm 14, so I'm big enough to look like whoever name is on that sheet.
Sure.
Shotgun to the window, shotgun to my mom's window, just guns surrounding us. We had to walk like 7 miles home because they took the car because he had a warrant out for him.
Right, yeah.
We get back to the house. 20 minutes later, by the time we get there, sheriffs surround the house. They kick in the doors, everything. They going through the whole apartment house. That creates a level of fear for a kid.
Yes, yes.
But listen, this 7-mile walk home.
The 7-mile walk home was quiet. It was quiet because my mom is probably walking in guilt. We're walking in uncertainty, and so we don't know, what's going on.
That's like an hour change.
That's a nice walk at night.
What time of year is this? What was it? It was cold. Do you remember?
I can't remember.
Okay.
It was in Cleveland, so I'm just going to bank and say that 70% of the time it's probably chilly.
Sure.
But when we go back to those situations, I remember multiple times not having a man in the house.
Yeah.
My father we were always connected. My father was right around the corner all the time. When I would see my father all the time, so we've always had a continuity of relationship.
Okay.
But
that covering though.
The covering.
Yeah.
Right? I needed, and looking back on it, I needed my father to come and get us. The question I asked myself when I've ever done therapy is, why didn't my dad work harder to come get us? My mom's doing the best she can. She's making maybe poor choices or not the choices that she looks back on and she would make today. But why didn't my dad come get me?
Now, when you say that, have you
had that conversation?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
with Dad. Have you and Dad ever had that combo?
I was tired of rehearsing the negative without understanding the nuance of the story.
Yeah,
I needed to understand the truth, and so my wife had threw an event called Overcomer a few years ago. She had all these women in the room and they crying and just a spirit-filled room, and this event was just live. So I'm in the car, and of course I have to do my own reflection. Like, this event meant so much to them.
Yeah.
What did I take from it? And I said,
how old are you? at this time?
At this time, I'm 31, 32.
So yeah, years later.
That was a long time.
A long time ago.
That was a long time.
Yeah.
I called my dad and said, "Yo, I just gotta talk to you. I got some questions, and they hard." He said, "Okay, son, well, let's talk." Now he's a man that's very, he's introverted that way. He ain't sharing a bunch of information and feelings.
Right.
And I say, I just need to know, like, why didn't you work harder to make it happen for us? And he just kind of goes, on his own, like just laying, like, listen, son, when a man gets knocked down a few times, at some point it's hard for him to get up.
Yeah.
That resonated with me because it wasn't as if that wasn't untrue. It's just that I spent so many of my years of my mom saying, your dad, he's not doing nothing for y'all. He's not doing X, Y, Z for y'all. And I never got the other end of the story. I always just viewed him as less than.
Yeah.
So I grew up, and even to this day, I don't view men as far as that space of safety in the same regard as I do women.
Sure.
Wow, and that's powerful because I'm the opposite.
Mm.
My dad took care of 4 generations, and I seen the strength, I seen the endurance, I seen him overcome women's feelings and weight and medical and boyfriends, and her dad was there. Since 58.
Wow.
Since 58, same residence, same room, since 1958.
Wow.
And that took care of a lot of people.
Yeah.
So for me, I have a huge reference because I know what a strong black man does for a whole community.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not for a household.
For sure.
It's one thing to do something for a household. I've seen it done for a whole. My dad just got deacon emeritus. He's 85.
Wow.
He's the oldest deacon. He's been there for 60 plus years. Did a whole special service for him. So for me, it's like I always knew women was the lesser, not because they're lesser, but because God called men to be the covering, and you have to take so many hits to be the covering. You know what I mean? And you kind of confessed to your dad was like, "Yo, when I got hit, I just wasn't strong enough to keep taking the hits."
And not only that, and it was that his brothers also weren't able to arrive to that space. But in my psychological premise, I then had to look up to the top. So how was my grandfather? Oh, when you do a backstory on the grandfather, he also didn't prepare them to become that man. Yeah. He was a worker. He came from the South, from Alabama. He was a worker. He made sure that they had. He sat down in that seat, threw his dirty clothes from work in the basement, and that was his day. He didn't prepare them to become great men. You have to be prepared to become a 100%. Great man. You can be a male. It don't mean you're going to be a great man.
Did you go through the made man at Change?
Let me say something. My wife and I joke about this. I never know when these events happen.
Yeah,
I don't hear about them. I don't know what. I don't know if I just come to church and that's just it. I miss all these opportunities. So I want to be a part of it.
We go to the same church.
Okay.
And sidebar quickly is like I went through Made Man and I had a big reflection because my son witnessed it. Right, he's 14. So it was like I did Alpha, I did college, I did AME church ordination as a minister, that then supervised the 9 pastor churches, and so it's like all of that. A lot of it was alone. A lot of it was but this one was distinct because my wife helped me throughout this one, and my son saw it. Okay, and then my daughter took pictures there. So it was like I'm 40 years old and I'm still going through these rites of passages as men because it was some distinct things. And males are born, men are made is the mantra that I'm like, man, it's crazy. I'm still learning. You talk about this all the time, Chizzy, that we learn stages and stages 5, 6, 7 years to become this new man. But then you confess to your father, you went back to grandfather, like those rites of passages. For men, it gives you automatic grace to your father now that you approach him, knowing he didn't have a blueprint to know. You know what I mean? Yes. And that you saw him lesser than. So now what?
Well, let me say this. I think that men are bound and locked up due to graceless relationships. Yeah. I think so many times men want to speak because the heaviness of those thoughts, it weighs a man down. It weighs down your thoughts. It slows down your vision. If we had homes that had more grace, men would be more free to speak. And so you would have more men who are free. Yeah. And so what I had to do was say, am I operating out of a sense of I want to hold on to this story because this is what I've been trained to know from my mom about my father? Or do I want to risk having to listen to him and then forgive him? Because if I forgive him, now I can't hold on to the story.
Yeah.
Now I got to let go of the part of the story that
You're no longer the victim.
correct.
Yeah.
So that's the rite of passage part. That's me growing up. That's me saying, I have sons I got to raise. I can't still be stuck in this stage of a little boy.
Come on.
Being able to raise them if my mindset is still back at 10 years old. That wouldn't make sense.
No, it wouldn't make sense. And I don't want to keep harping on those boy experiences, but of course, as we know, those experiences shape who we are as we
100%.
transition through the different stages of our lives. So you get into adolescence, you get into preteens, you get into young adulthood, and those traumatic experiences. So for you, it's your stepdad being pulled out of that car, you having to walk home, and I'm pretty sure that was a extremely traumatic experience. Absolutely. How did that shape you as a young man, not having that security of your dad with you and your stepdad? How did that play out for you making choices in relationships and whatever you experience as a young man coming, through those challenges without that security?
You know what's funny? It's the first time I thought about this. That's probably why I started working when I was 14. I never really thought about it. I thought it was just because I wanted money. But I think it was probably because I was witnessing my mom struggle to provide for us. So I had to take that burden off of her. And I didn't have to, but you
felt it was your responsibility.
You feel the inclination to do so. So I took that burden off of her. Let me go to work in the summer. I'm making at the time, I'm working at this theme park. I was making $4.15 an hour. Yeah. I'm on the bus every day for an hour to get there because I had to do it. I did it all summer. And I didn't have one of the dope jobs that you get at the theme park. I was in the parking lot year one. I turned black as these cameras. I was black. Like, I was real black. And year two, I still didn't have a dope job because I was in the trash department. I've never worked at a theme park. I had the rides and the games. I never did that. So when I got to being that's a shame. First off, let me just say something.
What was your worst job in high school?
It was that one. Let's just be 100%. It's nothing teenage-like to be pushing around trash. That is about as low as it get. You trying to look good. You got the girl pushing trash through the theme park, bro. Is not it,
bro. I was at a retirement village in Florida, country club. I mean, it looked so pristine. It got they golfing all day. Golf carts riding around. They stunting. You know what I mean? They got old money. You come there, bro. All I did all day was wash dishes.
Okay.
I washed dishes for 8 hours straight, bro. Just like I got the gloves on. The gloves ain't stopping your fingers from getting soaky as heck. I'm pulling out the huge rubber mat that you got to pull to get all the gunk of the food that fell through the dishes. I'll just go outside and get some fresh air, get away from the chlorine smell for about 10 minutes, go right back into like them humbling jobs.
Man, I kind of feel like my childhood was a glimmer of hope for everybody. Because in Bermuda, we packed groceries. Like that was our rites of passage.
Yeah.
As a youngster,
making $300 a week.
You pack, week. Yeah. Oh, grocery packers in Bermuda make change.
You packing for the president?
No, this is just average.
And they don't get no hourly salary. Those are just tips.
This is tips. So in our country, you pack groceries. When you go to the grocery store,
Publix and Kroger
5 and 6 groceries.
Publix and Kroger come right out like say, look, we get the 12 and 13 rolls. But look, in Bermuda, like him, very mannerable, very respectful, know how to communicate.
Thank you, good day, appreciate it.
Know how to properly socialize. The reason they got tipped wasn't because they was packing groceries. It was seeing a bunch of young black kids pack the groceries, well groomed, your school uniforms, your shirt tucked in, taking it to your car, taking it to your bike,
packing it in your vehicle.
So almost every Bermudian, once they got some people as young as you could be like 10.
Yeah, 10, 11 years old.
10 packing groceries, making $100
I was that young packing groceries.
Some people make 200, 300, 400, but it's the they learn how to treat people nice. Yeah. So that's a culture they set. That I said, look, bro, if you want to help build a community, like help these middle school kids. Look, they're volunteers. I love that. But as they're packing the groceries for you guys, and you're like, I just like seeing.
Yeah, that
Bro,
immense skills.
People will give them a couple dollars, bro. Hands down.
And I like seeing kids sacrificing their time.
Sure.
Like you're choosing to do something for the betterment of you and your community. That's worth me giving you some money too.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. So a lot of that energy, but when you back there washing them dishes,
Yeah.
8 hours a day, bro, you be having all the swag you want when you go to college, and you have to wash dishes all day. Like you don't even start seeing dishes no more. You just start seeing like iron. Like you just going through the motions. So when you was like, yo, I was in the trash all day at a theme park. I was in the parking lot, politicking the cars. I just went back to high school with just McDonald's, and I was like, yo, those jobs are different, bro. But we all went through it though.
Yeah.
We all went through it. So what do you do now that you got HOA kids? Like, how does that work? Because I'm struggling.
Yeah, it's funny. LeBron talked about this where somebody asked him with the struggle of raising kids, based on where you come from. And LeBron, he grew up probably 25 minutes from where I was.
Okay.
But Akron.
Did you dunk on him? Did you ever?
Akron and Cleveland are two different things. Cleveland people don't.
Hold up, did you hoop? You was a hooper? You play ball?
No, I did not. I should have. Everybody thinks because of my height I did. My son plays ball at a high level.
Okay.
He started beating me a year ago. I have no
How? Okay, this is important. How old is your son?
My son is 10.
So at 9 years old,
I have no business out there. I tore my left Achilles in 2020.
Just don't go no deep because let's go back to the theme park.
Let's go.
9 years old. Dang. All right. So
I have no business out there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it is what it is.
But before that, you said about Akron and Cleveland are different. What you mean by that?
They're just down the road. We view things differently. They think they're a big city. They're a little brother. They're a little brother down the road.
They're the little brother down the road.
It's
Dang.
cool. They come up to Cleveland for the big events, the big shows.
But you saw LeBron movement. You experienced that.
We were a part. Yeah, that was my era. I graduated in 2002. He came out in 2003. And so it's funny when you're in something, you don't realize how special it is, but you can feel the energy of it.
Right.
You can feel the energy, but without the internet, it was super organic. It was just, LeBron has a game down in Akron. And if you wanted to go, you win. If you didn't, it was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You didn't really kind of see how that whole thing was going to
Because we're looking at LeBron. No.
Yeah.
Back then, you just know this
No,
kid
but
that's really,
still,
really good.
It was special.
Yeah, you know.
Movement culture in America, bro.
Yeah.
I was aware of his junior year.
You knew it was special.
He was getting on ESPN as a junior.
Yes.
So I was aware. My first year in college, I was a freshman because I graduated in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at Flagler, but we was hearing about, we watching Carmelo doing his thing.
Right.
But it's like this kid in high school is even better than Carmelo. You're saying Melo's getting buckets at Syracuse winning the national chip.
Here's my question to you. When was the last time we had seen a phenom before LeBron? Like the last time we had really seen a phenom, and Cleveland has never seen something like that.
Yeah, no.
So we didn't even know how to receive it. And remember, he wasn't claiming Cleveland. He was claiming Akron.
He definitely was claiming Akron.
Dang!
Akron.
Shots fired. Y'all got beef?
We ain't got no. We just wish that he would acknowledge he made all his money in Cleveland, though.
So y'all got beef.
Attention.
But what I did, and I know this is, we'll go back to you being a man, king, good. But they said that the economic impact of him leaving, and then the economic impact of him coming back was so distinct.
Day and night. It was day and night because you got to think. 41 home games plus playoff games. You're around like 50 games a year, right?
Yeah.
Of people being able to come downtown for a reason. That's on game days. You're not talking about the night before or the day after. Yeah. So people have their
150 nights easy.
Easy. At the same time, the Indians at the time they were named were winning. So you also got this team winning right next door that are crossing seasons. So at some times you would have both games, and the stadiums are right next door to each other. So you can literally walk for 5 minutes to get to one stadium to the other. So if they have a game and they have a game, downtown is packed.
Sure.
It's jumping. People are building businesses and restaurants. When he left, it didn't cripple it. You just felt a difference. It wasn't as much attention on that area. And downtown isn't a hub of, 3 or 4 big corporate cultures. It's
Man, did Joakim Noah kill y'all? Did that sound bite?
Man, you good.
Listen, listen, it's okay. He got to. I understand. You're
good,
joking.
you're hard.
Bro, I'm just
No,
saying.
you good.
Like I was like, I had a view of Cleveland, you know what I'm saying?
Joakim Noah.
And then Joakim Noah had the soundbite. And I was like, yo.
He never won though. He never won.
Nah.
He had his success in Florida, but that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
He never won.
I mean, I can hear the pride coming out of you, man. I'm just, you know what? I got so much respect, bro, because I can tell you a Cleveland Brown.
Yes.
I can tell you a Cleveland Indian.
Yes.
Like, I can tell you a
100%.
Cleveland Cavalier. Like, I can tell
1000%.
it's all in you, bro.
That's what we know.
Yeah.
Joakim should have cut that ponytail. He probably
Dang, shots fired.
Yeah. Bang, bang. Bang, bang.
Wow.
So back to Chizzy's point.
Yes.
You going through this phase. You're getting a job. You feel, Mom, I feel the need. I want to know: is there any point in there you say you felt like you had to? Obviously, we know you don't, but you felt like you had to. Did you ever feel like I got to be the man of the house, or I am the man of the house? Like, what was that?
No, not the man of the house. I wouldn't say that. I know there's a lot of young men who have to go through that stage. I didn't have to go through that. I just tried to get out the way. So you can be the man where you step in. I stepped aside as a son.
Explain.
What do you mean? To protect yourself?
So to take the energy away from the need. So
y'all was really
I wanted to work and provide for me as quickly as I could.
Oh, so mom wouldn't have to be a responsibility. Oh, okay.
I don't want to be a burden. The problem is that's still my issue today.
Okay.
Like, I still don't take up space. And so a part of what my therapist tells me today is you got to take up space. Like, yeah, it's cool that you make sure that, you know, your son has this and your wife has that, and they have it again. But at some point, if you don't take up space, you're going to become resentful.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to be looking around and saying, what about me? That's a natural feeling.
Who's taking care of me?
And so when I was growing up, it was very difficult for me to see the opportunity to help myself as anything other than she don't have to worry about me.
Right.
when you say
that necessary selfishness that's needed sometimes so that you can develop as a person, and so you feel you're validating yourself through your own efforts for you, not something that's extrinsic coming from somebody else to make you feel good. So I do take your point. Yeah. That's
so. Now that you navigate that, you take that approach. At some point, you do got to make a conscious decision, or maybe not. Maybe there's an experience that forces your hand. When was it between that adolescence and young adulthood that you was like, I'm a man now? Was it a car? Was it an apartment? Was it moving out? Was it college?
I could say that it was college when I left to go to the University of Cincinnati. I could say that I was.
Shout out to the Bearcats.
Shout out to the Bearcats.
Ohio across the board, like.
I'm loyal to the soil.
My goodness, Cincinnati. Jeez.
Yeah, I just left watching the Buckeyes.
My goodness.
Let me just say this though. It was I could have looked as if I was a man because I went to school. I was the first person in my family to go to college on both sides.
Okay.
But I was still playing boy in college. I wasn't doing anything manly. I was still playing boy, enjoying life, doing all the stuff that you do.
Did you feel like part of, because you said you had a feeling in college, did you feel like the part of the boy part was being able to have that independence as a man? Like, I don't have to answer to no one. Is that part of the definition internally for you was?
Not. I mean, at the time maybe, but it wasn't that long that I then realized that a part of becoming a man is being accountable to someone else. And so I wish I had that. I probably wouldn't have wasted so much time and money not having that accountability structure. I needed that because I was the first person to go to college. So when I'm calling back home, no one has a reference point to check in with me. Right. They don't know this is the first semester, this finals time. No one has that checkpoint to help me. I'm literally out there just floating. And I didn't do well in school.
Right.
So in high school, so me going to college was really me trying to get away from that social environment. But now,
but you said something powerful that I don't want to just skim by, and that I credited my wife so much to my development because at 18 years old I meet her, and I don't know nothing about college structure. She tells me about preparation and study and the tutorials, and it's not just. I've always had somebody to be held accountable to since I was 18 years old in my adulthood life, in my legal age life. Wow. And I really see that now my separation from my peers is the only difference is because I'm a man, alpha spirit, prideful, selfish, but I had to be accountable and responsible to somebody every day since I was 18. Me and my wife took 2 breaks in our dating period for like a month or 2. That was it. But even then, you felt that gap as soon as that happened, so you wanted that back. So even my empathy for men, as I understand for guys who was out there wilding for too long, they had no committed relationship too long, wasn't with God for no, like if I am developed because I forced my hand. If I had free will, I would have been in the video game ministry. I would have been baby daddy ministry all the way into my 30s, hands down. The only reason.
It's enjoyable.
I just made it a concept the best for me, though. When I move the best, when I operate the best, is when I'm with her.
Your natural inclination is to be selfish in that way.
Yeah.
So being accountable means that you can't just think about you. Somebody else is looking at you and say, hey, you're going this way. You got to go this way. This is what you need to be in. But if you're functioning in isolation and you're just taking it on for yourself and you're just doing it yourself and just functioning on your own, that's easy. That's the road that's the easy road to travel, which is why most men struggle. Because when it comes down to, so we're now forced in an environment to have a family and have children. And now you're called to be accountable if you've never had it in your entire life and you're just left to your own devices. We struggle and you struggle, and it's hard for you to make that transition.
Well, let me also say this to you. It's not even just somebody telling you what to do. It's that my actions have ramifications. So now if I do stay out late and I'm doing too much several days in a row, that means I can't wake up on time to help my wife.
Yeah.
That means that now that responsibility in the morning falls on her.
Yeah.
And when it falls on her again, well, now at some point I'm going to see a change in
Good luck, brother. Slippery slope.
Now, she may let you get one off, but if that's your lifestyle.
Yeah, be consistent.
And so now watch this, your kids, I don't even like my kids to see me in bed when they wake up.
Right.
I want to beat them up. I want them to see me working. That's something that I want. Why? Because my dad, he worked late, but I never seen him beat the clock up in the morning. I've never seen it. So I wanted to change that, the way that looked. So that's my accountability is, it's not just somebody telling me what to do. It's what are the ramifications of me not doing.
Sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk because I think you're the first guest that, for me, you decided to do what you didn't see.
1,000%.
I did what I subconsciously saw. And so I struggle in the spaces of doing things I didn't see and didn't have a frame of reference for. And it's like you was very conscientious of, I don't have a frame of reference, so I'm going to do the thing that I didn't have.
Right.
That's interesting to me. You know what I mean? It's like, because that's some place I struggle with personally. Like, why you didn't? I'm like, I don't know to do that. I never seen somebody do that. But you're like, I've never seen somebody do that. I'm going to go do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of crazy to me a little bit. You know what I mean?
I wanted to fill those gaps. I mean, I was very conscious of the things that weren't being given to me. So I grew up playing baseball. Like, I was serious about baseball all the way through high school. But my family didn't have the money to. And here's the thing. And I didn't even know there was the other side of AAU and training. That was like
none of us did, by the way. You know, it was saying a lot.
Crazy, right? Like, I mean, I'm giving my all. Like, I am giving my entire teenage years to this. And I would come back the next year, and these kids were twice as good because their parents had money. I grew up, I told you, the suburb I grew up in.
Levels.
So levels, and I didn't realize it. So now when I think about this idea of what for my son, I'm like, oh, okay, I know what we need. You're taking it that serious. If you take it that serious, I'm not gonna fail you.
Yeah.
Like you're going to pull me enough, and I'm never gonna push you, but I will nudge you. So we have a good action going on.
Yeah.
So I'll invest in the private training. I'll make sure that you get the practice. I'm gonna do all the research around what you need.
You got to show up.
But you got to show up.
Yeah.
If you say any one day, I'm done. Cool. What else are we doing that has the same energy though?
Right.
Come on, that part, because me and him were discussing about our boys, and we had 2 different challenges, and I was saying he's on the back end, I'm on the front end, and we're just trying to fill it in, right? And I was just like, okay, me and CJ are having this father-son dynamic where I'm becoming this polarizing parent because I'm an AAU coach and a trainer and a dad.
Right.
So it's like he can't get away from it. So it's like, damn. And then it's like, your dad cold. Your dad was getting buckets.
Yeah.
Oh, you must baby crumb.
Pressure.
So now I'm like, so I'm listening to it, and as he getting older, I'm like, I don't like how that sounds.
Yeah.
I don't like what that's doing to him.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull all the way back. No academy, no training, no coaching, just dad. So, this past fall season, you know, he's the leading scorer on his team, he's doing his thing, and I'm like, I try to give him his halftime adjustments. He's like, bro, did you just wave your hand at me in public? I had like, you know, you get like I go all the way back to my 90s and 80s. Like I'm like, bro, all the Holy Ghost left me, bro. I was like, I'm gonna kill him. I'm literally gonna kill him in public. I said, help me, Jesus, help me, Jesus, help me, because of the parent talk. You know, I know about the parent talk in the car. I said, help me, Jesus. Yeah. Don't hit him. Don't go off. Be a good parent, Chris. You can do this. So I'm giving myself the
Don't make it about you.
I'm giving myself. I need like a 30-minute prep boy. Yeah. So I get in the car and I was like, "See, I'm gonna ask you a question. When I give you feedback, do you think I'm one of those crazy parents that just yelling at their child to play basketball?" He was like, "Nah. Do you think your dad is probably the most credible person? Played in 20 countries, 10 championships, 10 MVPs, 3 gold medals, high school, college, and pro. Do you think when I talk to you about basketball, I kind of know what I'm talking about?" He was like, "Yeah, Dad, of course." I said, "Why, son? Explain to me. Explain to me. Why would you get an attitude?" And I didn't go to the mannerism that he did, because that would have took me out.
Yeah.
So let's just focus on he had an attitude.
Yeah.
Why are you getting an attitude with your father who's trying to help you in basketball? Not trying to blow up your spot, help you in basketball. You know, I don't know. I said, let's talk about this, bro. Let's come to an agreement. Let's come to an understanding. And now through AAU season, he was like, he'll come to me. The weak side is slow. Your other big, he's socially emotional weak. You're going to have to give him a couple touches and make him encouragement, give him some positive affirmation. Right. Your guard, let him know you're getting his vision on the secondary. Because he knows these terminologies. But I'm like, here's the halftime adjustments. Slam down on strong side on D, like cross over on the baseline on weak side. Like he knows when we go to, I was like, bro, that's all I'm trying to tell you. So you can make the adjustment when you play. I can't talk to these other kids like they don't know ball like that, even though they don't know what I've taught you. Right. So I can see stuff that nobody else on this court can see. You got to come to me, bro, so you can make the adjustment, so you can be better. Sure. Took off. Wow. He made Chris Paul, South Region, last weekend, top 30 player for his class.
Wow.
And the number one guy was number one in the country. CJ was like number 27, number 22, something like that. Blow his mind. But the biggest difference is I had to shift from all that energy before. Yeah. I'm your dad, I'm your trainer, I'm your coach, I'm rah, school, home, work, God. I'm just dad. But come to me because I can tell you some stuff that nobody can see, because I all the stuff you're trying to do, I've actually done it all at a very high level.
I mean, you know, that pressure's hard, you know. That pressure's hard for a kid who has an expectation. Because remember, at the end of the day, as a child, you're still seeking the approval of your parents, no matter what you do.
But I was mindful of that too. I was like, bro, I don't care if you bounce another ball. Right. Like, I'm dad. And I think that freedom too. Sure. To say, bro, whether you do this or not, I literally don't care. Right. I'm going to the couch and go watch the game. Right. Holler at me if you need me. That's what's going to happen. Right. But this, whatever it means to you, I'm supporting it, bro. Right. I don't care what it is, but whatever you do, whatever your hand find to do, you're going to do it well. Though. Sure. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a part of what even you went through was challenging the old narrative of, do I need to be right or do I want to be effective? And I don't think our parents were so much concerned in being effective. As
heck right. No. Don't break up plans. Say. Right. Or else.
Now, there's a lot of reasons for that, right? If you think about the world that they had to exist in, even going back to our grandparents, they had very little respect once they left the house. So if they're going to get any respect, it's going to be right
in that household.
If anybody's going to tell me that I'm right, it's going to be right here with my kids. Like, that was a power dynamic. And so when kids talk back, it was probably like a trigger, like how people talk to them when they went back out in the world. We're now at least emotionally mature and healthy enough to understand that I can still be effective while giving you space to operate and let me listen to you.
Bro, but you say I'm getting so many ahas, bro. You are a therapist, bro. Like this is a very
It's funny
safe
'cause,
space.
Yo, that's the approach I take with my son now. And we've talked about the challenges in raising his 20-year-old and taking a gap year for college and trying to figure it out for himself. Yeah. But I had to kind of step away and be like, I can make this about me and have the emotional responses of you're not doing as I told you to because I'm dead and I know what's best for you and you should listen to what I say, and being more of a resource so he could feel comfortable in navigating those challenges. And when it's ready, when he needs the extra support, when he needs the extra hand to be like, look, maybe you should have did it a little this way. Like you said, there's a difference between being right, you know what I'm saying, or being resourceful, being a resource for your kid. So our parents, my mom's an ex-police officer. My dad's a pastor. So for me, that was pressure in and of itself. Yeah. And my dad is pretty, his low key, his reserved, but I can clearly recall times where he's grabbed my brother by his neck and try to shake the life out of him, just for that premise alone. You listen to what I say, you do it as I say, and if you don't, the wrath of God is coming in your direction. But as you said, that doesn't work any longer for our kids.
But I think when I said the aha I got though, listening to you was back in the day, not just a part in the house, but what they you had to follow rules outside the house because you would have lost your life, lost your freedom like that. Absolutely. Not just because you didn't follow simple rules, not because you was a criminal. Right. So like they came from an era, especially for those who you know what I mean, got melanin in their skin. Right, truth be told, in the Western world.
Black struggle is different, man.
Bro, like let's be honest, we knew black rules. Yep. Like my kids don't really know black rules like that, to be honest. But I knew. Listen, it was the phrase, watch out for the white man. Yeah. You gotta be mindful of, okay, you do this could happen. So you gotta be mindful in these situations. Not to be like I had that conversation going to the gas station with my dad, like when I was like 11. Right. Whereas like my kids got every race and every, you know what I mean? Like it's a little bit, now it still exists, but it wasn't as prevalent as 50s, 60s. Absolutely. So that parenting influence came in. Like, listen, I don't need you to be giving your opinion at this time and giving your expression and what the rules say.
Just listen.
Just do exactly what I say because you can die.
Life or death, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
A part of it now, too, is when you look at your kids that they may come into these really inclusive, like suburban schools, but now we have to be very mindful of microaggressions that they may be facing. So it may not be overt racism that they're facing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But it's little innuendos that take place with their teachers or their classmates that they can't recognize, but it made them feel away. So, wait, repeat that again to me, son. What'd they say? And now let me help you navigate that space so that you don't ostracize yourself with your peers or your teacher, but it empowers you. Let me tell you exactly what they may have been trying to say. And because they're 10 years old, they don't say it correctly. They could say, wow, your skin is so dark. Now, that may make you feel apart from everybody else, but maybe they're highlighting the fact that, they have to go to the tanning booth. See, that wasn't fair.
Bro.
That wasn't fair.
I knew he was going to comment on that.
Bro.
I had a white kid the other day.
We was really good the whole time until you.
I know. I gotta stay on track. Yeah, let me.
Baby, I was going to the tanning booth. Bro, pause. No way, bro. That is actually saying, man, your skin is so dark. That's racism, bro. But anyway, how many kids? How old are your kids? How old are your boys?
My oldest son is 10. My middle is 7. He just turned 7, and my youngest is 2.
How long you been married?
Be 13 years.
Hey, come on, man. Show some love for the marriage, man.
Shout out to the marriage.
Congratulations to you and the scene, man.
Single guys in the building. Shout out to the married guys, dude.
So as you're building your beautiful, incredible family, as a king, right? As my ideal self, my ideal family, what I'm building towards that they don't even know that I'm building towards. What is that?
I mean, for me, it's freedom. It's everybody having a spiritual sense of God in their life. Yeah. And it's also just having enough finance to be autonomous. Like I don't to me that's what I want. I want space, freedom, and
What-
God in our life.
So when it comes to the freedom, the spirit, and the finance, what plays are you running right now to go towards that? Let's start with freedom.
So with freedom, I think that is my wife and I having enough separation between our kids and us, because it's very easy, especially when you move and you walk away from your family, up north. Not walk away, but we moved, y'all. We just moved. We an hour flight away.
I get it.
But when it's really just kind of like you all in this like enclave with each other, you become enmeshed. Yeah. So now your kids' time, their free time is your free time, and vice versa. So you want to watch a movie with your wife, here comes a 2-year-old, and you don't have a really quick way to get them to grandma's house. Right. It's not as easy. So you end up kind of backing off on that need of space. Forget it. Y'all just come in. We did it last night. Sure. We wanted to watch a movie, and it has some language that we didn't want them to hear, but they look like their feelings was all broken up, and so she said, "Y'all just come back on in here." Now that takes away some private time.
Yeah.
It's necessary. I may not be in the producing stage, but I'm still in the practicing stage. I'm still, listen, I like the practice.
And listen, man, bump them kids, man. You better make sure you go respect my time with my wife.
Yeah,
nah, I'm playing.
But it is important because if I don't have that time with her enough, I am going to become resentful towards y'all.
100%.
And for her, you put her in a lose-lose situation. Correct. So you gotta kind of like take the initiative of, the principle of valuing. It's hard for them to accept because they're kids and they cry. Mm-hmm. But the marriage comes before.
Now listen, let me argue this point, and I hope that she hears this loud and clear. All right. So last night she says, "Babe, I want to watch the show, and these kids." You know what? So the kids came in. She said, "Forget it. I'm just gonna go take a shower." I said, "Listen, y'all get out, okay?" That's what I said. Y'all get out of here. And so they all looking at me like, I'm the terrible, mean father. So she comes out the bathroom and she says, "Well, where'd they go?" I said, "I told them to get out." "You didn't have to do that." "What do you mean I didn't have to do that? You just had an attitude." "That's
Trust
okay.
my leadership.
Just tell them to come back in." So now you get to look like the good guy at the same time. So then, I said, "Listen, Jay," I said, "It's not fair." I said, "I didn't necessarily mind them at that point of staying. If you minded, then I was taking up for you. I had your back because you wanted to spend time." I said, "But that's not fair to be the good guy after I was choosing to be the bad guy."
Right. It's cool.
I don't care about being the bad guy.
It's cool.
Listen, just so we're clear, my wife had a phrase, and I know I'm old school. She said I'm a traditionalist. I don't know what other phrase you have for old school. "Do you want me to tell your dad?" No. Right. Listen, there's a need for respect and boundaries for the man of the house, point blank, period. I know there's a lot of new trends going on, a lot of new language and terms, but for me and my house, it has worked. Yeah. Now, would I like to have more personal time with my wife? Would I like to, of course, there's never a perfect situation, but we have to have some principles that's exemplified that our kids don't get catered to all the time. Their feelings don't get catered to and it's okay.
It's a balance. You definitely have to.
You know what I mean? Like, bruh, I'm raising you. Mm-hmm. I'm an everyday dad.
I'm in charge.
Putting food on the table, roof over your head.
I see it man, I only get my kids the summertime. I only get my kids for Christmas. I only get my kids every other weekend. There's a whole different dynamic.
Sure.
Bro, I cut the umbilical cord, they still here. They haven't left my presence since I cut the umbilical cord, and they're 14 and 16. I put my reps in.
They get all of us.
You know what I'm saying?
Even when you're in school, I'm thinking about you. Even when, you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking about how we're going to run this business. Who has practice today? I'm planning your life.
Don't bring up practice.
Practice
is traumatized. It's a free Uber service. I'm not getting no pay car mileage. Man, this is
an extension of the office. You have to work at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Every gym should have Wi-Fi.
Bruh. They should have a parenting lounge.
That's good.
They should have a parenting.
It sounds like we need a whole another episode around parenting.
So what's your goal as a leader, as the head of your house? Like, you want the freedom, you want the play you're running for, the spirit, the play you're running for, finances, but what it looks like at the end for you and your family to have the family life, the dynamics that you want for all parties involved? Like, where are you? You in Atlanta? You in Cleveland? You in New York? What are you doing?
Yeah, we're in Atlanta. We're for the foreseeable future. As far as I can tell, God hasn't said anything different. And spiritually, I think for us, it's just important for us to just be on one accord. I've been on a weird spiritual journey, in the past years where the church I was with, loved my pastor and first lady, but when I left or upon leaving, I had to really come to grips of, am I in love with church or do I have a relationship with God?
Come on.
And that was a struggle for me, only because the infancy of my relationship with God was completely tied with church. And so whenever I ran into any hardship, and especially I was a young leader, I was a deacon at the time when I was at the church I was at for many years, and I was a board of directors. So I had all this responsibility, but I didn't have a character to uphold it. So I was able to kind of navigate this other side of the board and do all the stuff that it took to do this. But on the other side, I didn't have it all built out. And there was no, again, going back to college, no one to have that reference point. Because again, I'm the only one on both sides of my family striving this hard on this side. So when it fell apart for me, I had to really come to grips with, okay, where am I here? Like, I don't know. And instead of everybody trying to fix it, which spiritual people like to do, like to fix real quick with prayer and laying hands, I had to say, I need to take this season to come to true grips with who I am. Yeah. And so even today, like I'm not quick to agree to every point somebody makes because it sounds like the right thing to say. Really, it's just repeated, regurgitated things we've heard. Yeah. But I want to be convicted by the things that I do, by the things I say. I want to be very authentic. If that takes me 10 years to get to that authentic space, that's cool. I don't want to be an imposter for 10 years, though. Because that's a wasted 10. I'd rather, like, if it takes me 10 years to be a good dad, and because I have to read all the books and be in the part of the right men, cool. But for the next 30 years, I'm going to be a phenomenal father. I want to be authentic. I don't want to just do stuff to be in the room.
Man, you speak to a pain point that I had when I moved here 4 years ago, right before my 40th birthday. I had to have some hard conversation with my wife, and one of them was I had to apologize for the imposter syndrome, for the performance spirit, like Superman complex. Like, I'm just save the day. I'm like, I'm not gonna save the day. I'm not gonna always be there for you. I'm not gonna always support you the way you need to be supported. It's only one guarantee that you have in this whole dynamic with me, that I'm going to be here to the day I die. That's it. Everything else depend on God. Like, really, truly, I need you to, like, really depend on God, because I made a false premise in this dynamic of our marriage that I will always, and I felt the pressure, the need to always go and perform or provide or figure out something constantly when I'm not in a good space. Mm-hmm. I'm not getting my needs met. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? So I had to stop performing and posturing so that the authentic version of me can actually even exist. Yes. You know what I mean?
Nothing's more important than relationship with Christ, because as a I don't really like the term PK, but as a individual growing up in church and seeing the structure of church, you're exposed to a lot of stuff. Religious stuff. Yes. I'm not talking about relationship stuff. We're talking about religious stuff. You're exposed to a lot of religious stuff. It's only when you come into relationship that you really, really see that that's really what matters. The building don't matter. The people don't matter. You now start to gravitate towards people who pride themselves on relationship with Christ, not just going to a building, the ritualistic stuff that we do for church. So I really, really love how you articulated that the relationship part, you learning your relationship with Christ as the primary source for everything, is what's guiding the ship in the direction that it needs to go. Yes. I'm 48 years old. I'm just having these experiences in the last couple years of my life, but I'm glad I'm having them. Yeah. Because it allows me to navigate certain things that I wouldn't be able to navigate prior to. Being in church my entire life, still unable to navigate those things. So now in relationship, you have an intimate understanding for how God is going to direct your path in ways that are beneficial to you first. So now you can take those experiences and impact your greater family and community and your loved ones. But it starts with you, and it started with me. So I love that you articulated that just now, because it reaffirmed in my mind that this is the only recipe for success, as we heard earlier. You know,
Yeah, and when you brought so much value to the pod, man. Let people know
this is amazing.
how they can get in contact with you, what you got going on, what's coming up, man. Talk to the people.
First off, let me say thank you guys again
Thank you,
for
man.
having me.
Yeah.
You know, it's for someone to give you a temporary home to use your voice is amazing. So thank y'all. You can reach me at Chris Marvell on social. Our website pivottraining.us. My goal and purpose here on this earth is to heal and help people. And my mission before it's all said and done is I want to help heal and have created the energy and the business to help touch 1 million people before it's all said and done. And I know that we can do that because, of course, the rise of mental health is, at least the affection for it and the awareness of it is becoming more and more clear. And so that is what we're about. And yeah, man, pods like this where we are truly emphasizing men and their need to also use their voice, I think is something that you have to have. And so I just salute both of you brothers for being.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. It was a pleasure.
Yes,
Man,
sir.
Boy Man King podcast. The journey continues.